Hello, 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 good afternoon and welcome to today's session. I'm Asmita, your IELTS mentor here at Vedantu. And how are we doing? How is our Monday morning? Hi, Space Arc. Hello, everyone else. Let me know if I'm audible, visible, and that you are ready to get started. Today, we will be solving the speaking part of the IELTS test. This is supposed to last for around 11 to 14 minutes, but realistically it can go from anywhere. It can go from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. So that's the range that you generally have to keep in mind when it comes to the IELTS speaking test. It is, however, the shortest part of the test, but somehow the most feared part of the test as well. So we're gonna tackle that today. Let me know if you are ready to get started. Hi, Sunny. Oh, hi, School of IELTS. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, just give me 1 second. Need to fix something. All right, all done? Okay. You are a ghost. How so? What made you a ghost? Hi Vijay, good afternoon. All the very best for your journey and I'm so glad you're here. It's going to be very smooth and you're going to do a fantastic job. School of IELTS, yes, I will help you master the writing section as well. That is also one of the live solvings we will be doing this week. We are tackling every section of the IELTS this week. And in any case, if you need help with the writing section, you will find a lot of resources on this channel. So if you haven't yet, make sure you are going through the different, you're going through the different videos that are already available to you on this channel, all right? Okay. Now, before we get started, and I need your full participation and cooperation here. Before we get started, I want you to fill out this form if you truly are serious about going and studying abroad. See, going to study abroad is not a solitary decision. It involves a lot of people, it impacts a lot of lives. And so you have to be very careful about everything that you're doing, every decision that you're taking. It has major repercussions on your future, definitely, obviously, but it also impacts your parents. It impacts your younger siblings, everybody around you. So make sure that your decision here is well thought out. And the best way to ensure that is to have someone, an expert, guide you and counsel you through the process so you don't make any blunders and mistakes. And here you're getting free career counseling, and let me tell you, free is a big blessing because career counseling can be very expensive. Please fill out this form that's in the description. I urge you to fill it out along with your parents so that you have all the financial amounts, budget, everything in place. And yeah, you'll get contacted by a career counselor and that's all you need to do. Everything else will be taken care of by the counselor henceforth. All right? So, before I come to this, actually, quickly a refresher I want from all of you. What are the 4 criteria that are used to assess the speaking section? Sunny, it is free. The link is in the description, School of IELTS. Okay, Ghost. So you did the first step, which is obviously so important that you were able to take mock tests and figure out what is it that you're struggling with. If reading is your weakest section, then Obviously, you need to start improving your reading speed. You need to read a lot more. What is it that you're struggling with? Time, vocabulary, understanding the question. That kind of assessment is necessary. And once you do that for yourself, I will be able to guide you in the right direction. All right? Okay. Quickly tell me, what are the 4 criteria? All those of you who have been with me so far, you should know this by now. This is very basic stuff. Come on, come on, come on. This you should all be knowing by now. Okay, so there are 4 major things that examiners are looking at while assessing you during the speaking test. And if you're aware of these 4 things, then you will make sure that your responses are adequate. Alright, first is fluency and coherence. Okay, there's no particular order, but this is generally how they are listed out. Okay, then we have lexical resource. Grammatical range and accuracy. And finally we have pronunciation. All right. So what are these different things? It's okay if you forgot. Quickly remember now. You should always remember this. If you forget this, you will not score well in the reading section, because these are things that you need to take care of in your answers. Okay. Now, first thing, fluency in coherence. The major thing that you need to take care of here is that you're not hesitating too much. That is, you're not struggling to come up with the right words to express your thoughts. A little bit of hesitation, just trying to think about the next thing you want to say is fine. But it shouldn't be obvious hesitation. That is, you are unable to come up with the right words to express what you want to say, which generally happens to people who have just started learning a language. If I don't have a very vast vocabulary in English, obviously I will struggle to think of the right words to say what I want to say, and that is what fluency and coherence is testing. Alright, so minimal, whoops, why did that turn into a Christmas tree? Minimal hesitation, alright, structured what that means is when you're saying something, it should be logical. It should have a logical flow. It shouldn't be random thoughts just thrown out there. Alright? Lexical resource is just your range of vocabulary. Here, I want you to remember that it's not about using the most complex words. It's about using the right words for the right situation. So, topic-specific vocabulary is important when it comes to lexical resource, not knowing the most complicated word for something. Grammatical range and accuracy means minimal grammar mistakes or errors, right? And good or diverse sentence structures. You are able to use a lot of complex sentences, compound sentences along with simple sentences correctly and when required to explain what you want to say, alright? Oh, thank you, Krishna. Yes, you can note these down in your notebook. And finally, there is pronunciation. Here, remember, not about accent. So, you don't have to change your accent. It's just about clarity. You should be properly understood. You shouldn't mispronounce any of the words. Make sure that you are putting the correct syllable stress. For example, it's psychology, not psychology, stuff like that. Okay, and you don't have to go out of your way to change your accent. Your Indian accent is perfectly fine. Just make sure that everything you're saying is clear and can be understood by the examiner. All right, so these are your 4 criteria that you are going to keep in mind. Now, because of the platform on which we're studying, that is YouTube, we will not be able to assess pronunciation. Okay, but everything else I can assess through your responses in the chat. So it's just pronunciation that you have to take care of your own. Everything else I will be assessing today for you, and you are going to give me responses. Okay, so now that we have the 4 criteria, here's the basic breakdown of the speaking test. All right, so you have your IELTS speaking test on a separate day. It will not happen on the same day as the other tests. Listening, reading and writing will happen on one day. Speaking can happen before or after listening, reading and writing. Okay. Speaking test can happen at a hotel or a center. It can also happen remotely, where you will be on a video conferencing call with your examiner. You will be informed what the mode of the test is prior to the test. All right, and if it is a hotel, that's fine, don't get spooked out. A lot of speaking tests do take place in hotels. All right, you will be contacted by the official IDP team where you have registered for the test. You will get email confirmation for the same. They will confirm the address that you need to go to for the speaking test, or it can happen remotely. In case it's happening remotely, you have to ensure that you have good internet connection. Okay. Now the speaking test has 3 parts. All right. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. So what do these different parts entail? Part 1 is your basic introduction. All right, and the questions are going to be simple and about you. Here you need to aim to give answers that are at least 2 to 3 sentences long. All right, and most of these questions will be very generic. Sometimes you might get a different kind of a question, but most of the time it will just be about your life, your likes and dislikes, your opinions. Very simple personal questions, not too personal, but about yourself and your life. 2 to 3 sentences is enough for an answer over here. Make sure your answers are not too short or too curt. That means you cannot give simple yes or no answers. You have to give a reason or a justification for everything you say. So even if the question does not say why, you have to say because. For example, do you prefer tea or coffee? I like tea because is implied. You have to give a reason. Or I like coffee because. Okay. Now coming to part 2. Part 2 is your long turn. That means you have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes all by yourself. Okay, you're going to get a cue card which has the topic or the prompt which you have to speak about. It will usually start with describe or talk about a time, something like that. Okay, this is what the part 2 questions generally look like, and you will get 1 minute prep time in which you can take notes. Make sure you take notes so that you can use that as a basic framework of your response. You have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, and so you need to have something to refer to. Use your prep time wisely. All right, here again, because you have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, there is no sentence limit that I can provide. Just make sure you are covering all the sub points. So the cue card will have a few sub points about what it will look like is, for example, it says describe a time that you helped someone, all right? And then there will be a section that says you should say, and there will be 3 to 4 points. Who it was, when it happened, how you felt, stuff like that, okay? So make sure you're covering all of these sub-points in your response, which is why using the prep time wisely is extremely important, alright? So that's part 2, which is called the long turn. You might get a bit scared thinking about it, but actually part 2 is not that difficult. The questions in part 2 are generally vague. What that means is they are worded in a way that everybody will have something to say about it. Few times there can be a question like describe a book that left an impact on you, and you might not be a reader, so you haven't read a book in the last 10-15 years. So you will be a bit confused about what to say in this case, but there are always ways that you can sort of circumvent this situation. You can talk about a textbook from school, you can talk about school material, because all of us definitely read stories in English at school. Or you can talk about a non-fiction book, something science related. You can also pretend that a movie you watched was actually a book that you read. So there are ways to deal with that and navigate that as well. So part 2 is not very difficult. Now coming to part 3, this is the most difficult part of the IELTS speaking test, part 3, because here you have follow-up questions on your part 2. Okay, so follow-up questions based on part 2. So the questions will be somewhat related to whatever cue card you got in part 2. All right. And now over here your responses have to be long and well thought out responses. You will have to do a lot of critical thinking here, and the questions are going to be based on society, environment, education. They are not going to be about yourself or your life. The questions are going to be about the world at large. So this becomes a little more challenging. You have to give your critical opinion on many trending topics, such as about technology replacing human beings, stuff like that, right? So things that are related to general awareness, society, culture, the world, things that you tend to read about in the news, all of those questions will be asked in part 3. Now here, one thing to remember is, even though the nature of the questions is very GK type, UPSC type, here no one's expecting you to have very intelligent responses. So by chance, if you are asked a question that you don't know much about, maybe it's about something to do with the environment and you don't have a lot of information on that topic, you're not expected to sound intelligent in the sense that you've given a very technical response dealing with the topic. That's not what the examiner is assessing. The examiner at the end of the day only cares about your English. So even if what you're saying is sort of dumb, as long as you're saying it nicely, using correct English and making sure all of these criteria are met, then you can score well in part 3. So part 3 is not about how intelligent you are. Tanmay, that's just, okay, so that's, first of all, unlikely. They will ask you about your, they will check your ID, they will get your credentials, but all of that information is not being graded. So before your part 1 starts, the examiner will ask you for some basic things that can happen in any test. What is your name? Please show me your ID. You have to show a valid ID proof. They are going to check some things. All of that will happen before the speaking test, but the examiner only starts grading you once part 1 starts. and they will say something like, let's talk about, and they will say the general topic, right? So let's talk about education, let's talk about your where you live, stuff like that, and then the part 1 questions will begin. Okay, so Sunny, there is no one list of words that is good or impactful, right? It totally depends on what you're talking about. And that's where this lexical resource really comes into play. That you have different kinds of words to explain different kinds of situations. And I've told you multiple times, if you've been watching my videos, to have a separate notebook where you note down vocabulary words based on topic. So anything that is remotely related to health, you note that down. You might read it in an article, you might come across this in a conversation, maybe you're watching the news and the news anchor says something. So if you hear a word related to health, then you write it down under health. If you hear a word related to environment, like climate catastrophe, then you write it down under environment, all right? Any word related to technology, write it down under technology. So then what you'll have is, you'll have a small guide of topic specific vocabulary, and topic specific vocabulary is very important from this perspective, because lexical resource is all about your range of vocabulary. So generally when we think of vocabulary for a test, we are conditioned to think about it like this, that my vocabulary is over here and I need to improve it and get it over here. That's not how vocabulary works. Vocabulary should spread like this, not like this. So you're not going from one simple word to the most complicated word. You are expanding your range of vocabulary, all right? Vijay, there are many different resources available for mock tests, but what I recommend is starting out with all of the free resources that you have. And the 3 websites that you need to trust blindly when it comes to the IELTS is Cambridge, British Council and IDP. So any resources that you're able to find in the Cambridge website, British Council website or IDP, use those resources. You will find free full-length mock tests in all 3 of these websites. Start with those, all right? Okay, so now that we know the basics of, here I will give you a ballpark of at least 4 to 5 sentences. See, some answers can be short, some answers can be long, but on average 4 to 5 sentences is good for part 3, 2 to 3 sentences is good for part 1. We are coming to the questions next, okay? Alright, so start with the speaking test. These are some part 1 questions, all right, and I need you to give me responses for these questions in the chat. Okay, get ready. So let's do this question first. What did you usually do on your birthday when you were a child? So now from the list of questions you can see that the topic here is birthdays, all right? The topic here is birthdays. Let's start with the first one. What did you usually do on your birthday when you were a child? Give me the answer to this in the chat quickly. And then I will give you 2 or 3 sample answers on the spot, right? 2 or 3 different answers on the spot. Hacker Saab, I will acknowledge your compliment if you give me a good answer for this question. Okay? Sunny, you have to... Okay, so now first things first, you cannot abruptly start your answer with enjoy the day. As a child, or when I was young, or when I was a child, I used to celebrate my birthday with family, friends and relatives. It was I used to look forward to that every year. It was the highlight of my year. You have to say something like this. So Tanmay, you say as a child, first you have to answer the question directly. See, the problem is you did not directly answer the question. You are saying that you were obsessed with gifts or that you always looked forward to the gifts. But first you have to say what did you usually do. So you can say something like, I usually had a birthday party and I invited all my friends over. My parents would make some dinner for everyone and we would have a good time. But to be honest, the one thing I looked forward to the most was the gifts that everybody would get me. Alright, so you can incorporate what you want to say in your response. But first you have to directly answer the question. That's extremely important. Okay, what about the others? You're not going to get anything out of being silent. Okay, you have to participate, otherwise you won't be able to improve. Quickly, I want 2 more answers. Okay, very good, Vizin. When I was a child, see, good. That's how you start a response. So make sure that your starting phrase is always there. Don't eat up the starting phrase. When I was a child, I used to celebrate my birthday with my school friends. My parents used to organize a small birthday party at home. I got many gifts at the time and I still cherish that. Very good, Vizin. Great response. Just a few things. Instead of saying school friends, we can say I used to invite my friends from school, because in India we tend to say these are colony friends, neighborhood friends, school friends. We have that demarcation. Other countries don't really use this terminology, right? So instead of saying school friends, we can say friends from school. And then the organizing a birthday party is completely fine, good response. I got many gifts and I still cherish those times, okay? I still cherish those times. School of IELTS, usually, when I was a child, so instead of saying usually when I was a child, you will say when I was a child, I would usually go to the temple with my family, and then in the morning, so you can say on my birthday, on the morning of my birthday, we'd go to the temple, and then later in the evening, I would celebrate with my friends and family, mostly by cutting a cake and giving some gifts. Do you give gifts or receive gifts on your birthday? You receive gifts, right? So here, in terms of a fully structured response, all of these criteria in mind, most coherent, good range of vocabulary and grammatical range, the award for the best answer goes to Vizin. Very good. You had very good structure. You started with when I was a child. You in a logical, see, whenever we explain events that used to happen, make sure you do it chronologically. That's the best way to organize your answer if time is a factor. What does chronologically mean? According to the time. So you start with morning, then afternoon, then night. You're talking about your birthday. So start with how I celebrated, how my birthday used to start, and then how it ended. A lot of you are saying what happened last first and then what happened first last. That will take away your points from fluency and coherence. Alright? That's okay, Sunny. You have to try. Only if you keep trying, slowly and slowly your responses will get better and faster. Okay? Now, again, lexical resource-wise, Vizin used good words like my parents would organize a party. So, we use the term, the word organize with parties, right? So, that shows good lexical resource, right? Grammatical range was also fine. So, good job, Vizin. Okay, Vijay says, good question. I used to take blessings of my parents on my birthday and then used to go to school to celebrate with my friends in my childhood. My family and I used to celebrate at home with some food. Okay, so Vijay's few tips to improve this response. First thing first, the whole taking blessings thing is very Indian. This is a direct translation of Ashirvad Lena, which doesn't happen in other cultures, right? So you can explain this a little bit more. So you can say in my country, it is a tradition to seek the blessings of our elders on auspicious or special occasions. So my birthday would usually begin and still does by touching the feet of my parents to seek their blessings, which is a traditional practice in my country. So giving this sort of explanation really enhances your response, and it gives this sort of, it shows the examiner that you have the vocabulary or the English to even explain niche traditional things that might not be directly translatable. So that shows how good you are with your language, all right? When I was younger, I used to be really excited for my birthday. I used to invite all of my friends, usually at home. My mom would make some special dishes, and the part I was more excited about were the gifts. Very good, Ghost. Perfect. Perfect answer. Good job. Simple, to the point, but hits all the right notes, right? And always start with a good starter. When I was younger, the question directly says, what did you usually do on your birthday when you were a child? So start with when I was a child or when I was younger, okay? Hi Yashu, I'm good. How are you doing? Okay. Moving on to the next question. Great job. Now I think all of you are getting the hang of this. Next question is, how do you normally celebrate your birthday now? So you have already explained what you used to do when you were a child. Now you have to talk about how you celebrate your birthday as an adult or a young adult. Some of you might be 17 at the time of the exam, so not fully adults. So here you have a lot of scope of connecting your answer to your previous response. For example, those of you who said that the part I looked forward to the most were the gifts, you can say, funnily enough, I'm still the most excited about the gifts which have gotten more expensive over time. So you can add a bit of comedy, you can connect your response to how you were a child. Quickly, everyone. And I want to see you make that connection with the first response. That's how you will, the overall coherence of this entire discussion will come through when you're able to connect. And if you are connecting your responses, that means your responses are not memorized, they are not rehearsed, they are natural, personal, genuine responses, which is what the examiner is looking out for. All right? Okay, I usually celebrate my birthday by spending quality time with my friends and my girlfriend. We might go out for dinner, watch a movie, or just enjoy a relaxed evening together. Very good. So, Tanmay, just a suggestion. You can say, you can give a little bit of a introductory line to sort of, like I said, show that continuation. So you can say, now that I'm older, my birthday parties have toned down a bit. Right? You can say my birthday parties are no longer such a grand affair. They have toned down a bit. I usually just spend quality times with my friend and my girlfriend. We might go out for dinner, watch a movie, just enjoy an evening at home. Normally I celebrate, okay, so it's School of IELTS. Your introduction is very confused. It's not, it doesn't have logic. It's also grammatically inaccurate. So stick to one thing. Now, I normally. That's how you can start. Now, nowadays, I normally go to the temple in the morning and I go out with family or friends, I also have this tradition. So here, a good word to add. If there is something you do every year on your birthday, which is not, for example, cutting a cake is a common tradition that everybody does on their birthday. But you can have a specific tradition that only you follow. For example, feeding dogs. If you give like a feast, if you organize a feast for dogs on your birthday, or if you organize a feast for people also, whatever you like doing, something that is specific to you, then you can say, I have this tradition where I feed stray dogs on my birthday. I've been doing this since I was whatever, 10 years old, and then you can explain that tradition a bit. So good word to use for situations where you have this specific different habit of doing something. You can call it a tradition, alright? To be honest, I don't really celebrate my birthday after my childhood phase got over, but sometimes I give a party. Okay, you can say throw a party. Not give a party, okay? Throw a party for my friends and do some charity work. It gives me peace and a sense of fulfillment. Rest of it is fine. Just give a party to my friends. Should be throw a party for my friends. Okay? Oh, Yashu also tried. When you will be an adult, visiting a restaurant, celebrating my birthday with my friends and family. Very good. Very nice. Okay, nowadays I start my birthday with, my birthday usually begins with taking the elders. Now you have to explain. Sunny, what did I say? You have to explain what taking blessings is. What seeking blessings is. Instead of taking blessings, क्योंकि हम आशीर्वाद लेना बोलते हैं, that's why you are probably saying taking blessings. Taking मत बोलो, seeking blessings बोलो. और एक्सप्लेन करो कि ये होता क्या है, क्या कैसे लेते हैं, पैर छू के लेते हैं, तो आप एक्सप्लेन करो. इन माई कंट्री or in my, I'm a Hindu, so in my religion, or you can say as an Indian, we have this cultural tradition of touching the feet of our elders to receive their blessings or to seek their blessings. And that's how I usually start my birthday. You have to give this background information, okay? And then I pay a visit to the temple. After that, I try and donate some food, and the rest of the day spent eating whatever my mom has cooked for me, which usually is my favorite dish. Okay? Make it sound personal. It's your personal story. It's your personal memory or your personal experience. Make it sound like that. It should not sound too generic. Okay? Now, I don't celebrate the way I used to, but instead I invite my friends to hang out for the day. We go to different places. I'm still the most excited about receiving gifts. Very good, Ghost. Okay, so Ghost has done a good job over here. You have also connected your responses like I mentioned. And you have, it's very breezy, very simple, smooth answer. And you've used words like hangout, which is the normal way of saying, or the native way of saying, spending time with my friends, right? So you hang out with my friends, we go to different places. I'm still the most excited about receiving gifts. Adds that little bit of humor. Sion, fix the spelling of birthday. Recent years on my birthdays, my parents wish me, and I have very few friends who are close to me and are in contact with me. So I prefer celebrating my birthdays with them. I don't have grand parties anymore. I try to keep my life a bit more private. Okay? Alright? Very good. So here I think the best response goes to Ghost. Good job, Ghost. Now let's move on to the third one. After I see all of your responses, I will do one drill where I answer each question back to back. Okay? Now coming to the third one, is your birthday now still as important to you as when you were a child? Very simple answer. Is your birthday now still as important to you as when you were a child? Okay, if Ryan and Ghost, if it's AI generated, then that's your loss. Like I said, right now you can generate stuff. ChatGPT will be your friend right now, but you will regret it during the actual IELTS test. Well, I usually prefer to keep my birthday celebration simple and meaningful. I like spending time with my close family and a few good friends. Good job, hackers. Saab feels a little AI generated, but theek hai, I'll let it pass. Next, to be specific, my birthdays are no longer the same as they were in my childhood. Over time, they have changed and I'm no longer excited about them. That's okay, Vijay, but you're sounding very depressed in your answer. Why? Why is that so? Why are you no longer excited? You are scared of getting older? When I School of IELTS, this is definitely an AI generated response, so I'm not going to read it. I will not read AI generated responses now. बहुत हो गया. Just to get me to say best answer आपका है, आप AI generated response दे रहे हो मुझे, इससे आपका भला हो रहा है कोई? अभी मैंने बोल भी दिया तो उससे क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा आपकी जिंदगी में? एम आपका होना चाहिए आईएलटीएस में अच्छा परफॉर्म करना. वो आप तभी कर पाओगे अगर आप अपने रिस्पॉन्सेज यहाँ पर दोगे. आपकी जो गलतियां हैं वो मैं आपको पॉइंट आउट करूंगी, आप उन गलतियों पर काम करेंगे, तभी तो आप अच्छे रिस्पॉन्सेज एक्चुअली में दे पाएंगे आईएलटीएस के टाइम पर. अभी एआई जनरेटेड रिस्पॉन्स देकर और मैंने बोल भी दिया कि वाह भाई वाह क्या रिस्पॉन्स है, तो उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. विजय, दैट हैपेंस एज वी गेट ओल्डर. बर्थडेज के साथ साथ थोड़ा सा एक बिटर स्वीट फीलिंग होता है. इट्स नॉट ऑल जस्ट हैप्पी. बचपन में सिर्फ एक्साइटमेंट होती है, बड़े होके थोड़ा सा होना शुरू हो जाता है. दैट्स नॉर्मल. बट इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप सेलिब्रेट ही करना बंद कर दो. थोड़ा खुश होना तो आपका राइट है. एक और साल आपने इस दुनिया में निकाल लिया, खुश होना तो बनता ही है. ओके, Tanmay and School of IELTS, I'm not reading your response because it's AI generated. ठीक है? Sunny, usually nowadays I don't have that feeling to celebrate my birthday. I lost that vibe. हाँ Sunny, again सब लोग इतना sad क्यों हो रहे हो? It's not a sad affair. Okay, let me give you. मैं आपको दिखाती हूँ एक response देकर इसके लिए to show how you can sort of express these complicated emotions without sounding too depressed. ठीक है? इसका जवाब मैं आपको जब सैंपल दूंगी तब सुनना ध्यान से. ऑलराइट, नेक्स्ट वाले में अगर मुझे एआई जनरेटेड रिस्पॉन्सेज मिले तो मैं यहीं के यही सेशन को कर दूंगी एंड. आपको सीधा सीधा इसका पीडीएफ दे दूंगी कि आप क्वेश्चंस देख लो और सेशन यहीं के यहीं एंड हो जाएगा. बिकॉज कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं है फिर. देन देयर इज नो पॉइंट if it's just all AI, है ना? Okay, do you think it's important to give someone a card when it's their birthday? Very quickly. Sunny, अच्छा है अपने आप से कनेक्ट करना, that's true. But इतना, see the thing is, you complicated emotions जब हम express करने की कोशिश करते हैं in English, और अगर हमारे पास इनफ वोकैबुलरी नहीं है तो वो बहुत वन टोन हो जाता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक बिटर स्वीट, जैसे मैं कह रही थी कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल जब आप 12th ख़त्म करके ग्रेजुएट करोगे स्कूल से और फिर सब अलग अलग कॉलेजेस में जाएंगे, आप यू विल बी एक्साइटेड. अलेट, यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी? देन आई कैन स्विच टू इंग्लिश. आई वॉज जस्ट ट्राइंग टू हेल्प आउट सनी. सो हियर when you graduate, you're not going to be just excited. Obviously you'll be excited for your life ahead, but you'll also be a little sad that, you know, all your memories, your school, your friends, you're leaving all of that behind now. So that excitement will be coupled with a bit of sadness, and expressing that becomes a little complicated if you don't have the vocabulary for it, right? Okay. Okay, Wizen, good response, but little grammatically inaccurate. Let's correct it. That much important नहीं होगा. It will be, no, my birthday is not as important for me anymore, or as important as it used to be. Because now I have to fulfill a lot of, I have the burden of responsibilities and a lot of duties to take care of. Yashu, very good. Even though Yashu is not preparing for the IELTS, still look at her response. She has not generated it using ChatGPT and it's a good response. No, I don't think giving a card to someone on their birthday is important. It's actually just important to wish them regardless of the medium. School of IELTS, not to you. You are saying your answer is, do you want to receive a card on your birthday? That's not what the question is asking. The question is asking, do you think it's important to give a card? Alright, Sunny, yes, very simple. So you can say something like, yes, I think it's important to give cards on birthdays because it's a sweet and small, inexpensive gesture. I like receiving cards, and so I would say that it's important to give cards. I think so because it gives the happiness and the person thought that we are care of them. We care about them, okay? Elliot, I think so because it gives them happiness. It's a simple gesture. So here, what is the topic specific words that you can use? Gesture. Gesture is a good topic. Like I said, tradition, organize a party. Gesture is such a great word to use for this kind of an answer, okay? So it's a very simple gesture that can give someone happiness, and it shows that we thought about them and took some effort to show them we care. All right, very good, everyone. Next and last. Do you think the price of gifts, presents is important? Do you think the price of gifts or presents is important? We have to pick up the speed a little bit. Part 2 and part 3 is remaining. Any case, you are all going to give me AI generated responses. So next part 3, I will not make you answer all the questions. Only 1 or 2 questions I will make you answer. Okay, so now pay attention to me. I am going to answer today's people, price and brand is important, not emotions. Very cynical response. You can say it's generally the trend because of we have a bit of a show-off culture. So because of that, people care more about the price and the brand rather than the emotions attached to a present. Yes, Sunny, very good. Okay, now, first question. What did you usually do on your birthday when you were a child? Right? So, I am from India, and in our country, all over the country, we have this little tradition that on our birthday, we are allowed to wear something from home as opposed to our uniform to school. And so I think that was the highlight of my birthday as a child, The fact that I could wear my favorite dress to school and I'd be the only one who's not in uniform, so I'm getting all of this special attention. That is what I looked forward to the most on my birthday. And the celebration usually entailed, or at least in school, what we did was we took some chocolates around and we went to each class and gave chocolates to the teachers in those classes, and we also distributed sweets or chocolates to all of our classmates. So that's what I usually did on my birthday, and it was quite enjoyable. Next question. How do you normally celebrate your birthday now? Like, to be honest, that whole birthday excitement has obviously fizzled out a bit, and my birthdays now usually come with pre-birthday blues that I sort of try to get over by throwing a party or doing something fun, like going out with my friends. So I don't have a set plan. I feel like I do something different each year. But one thing that remains the same is that it's not as exciting as it used to be when I was a child. Next question. Is your birthday now still as important to you as when you were a child? So I feel like I've already touched upon that, but to elaborate, no. And it's not as important to me anymore as a child, at least not in the same way. When I was a child, my birthday was more about feeling excited, wanting to grow up and, becoming a big girl. But now, birthdays usually come with a tinge of anxiety, trying to navigate, getting older, becoming independent, hitting certain milestones that society sort of puts pressure on you to hit by a certain age. So definitely birthdays come with some pressures and anxieties. So not important. I wouldn't say they're any less important, but they're not as full of hope and excitement as they used to be. Next question. Do you think it's important to give someone a card when it's their birthday? So personally, I'm a sucker for handmade gifts, and to all those of us who are not very artistically inclined, cards are the easiest handmade gift to make. So yes, I do think it's important to give people cards. Obviously, a store-bought card is just an easy way out of thinking about a thoughtful gift. But a handmade card, I definitely am in favor of. It just really shows that you love and care about the person. Next, do you think the price of gifts or presents is important? Personally, to me, no. Like I said, I care more about the effort put into something as opposed to how much it cost. It's very easy to just go to the mall and pick up an expensive item, but putting in thought, figuring out what a person really likes, and spending time making something for someone means a lot more to me. I do know that people, probably because they have to post about their birthday on Instagram, do care about showing off and, expect fancy, expensive gifts. But personally, I don't. I would pick a cheap, inexpensive handmade gift over an expensive item any day. That's invaluable to me. All right. So I gave you a sample response for all of these. As you can see, the answers you have to think about what you want to say next. It has to sound natural. There will be a little bit of, you can go back and forth, you can elaborate and explain yourself. It has to sound natural, which it did for all of these, right? And I was able to connect everything I said to what I'd previously said, and I just built upon this entire thing. So overall, my opinion on birthdays really came through to whoever was listening because of how connected my responses were. Okay? All right. I'm so sorry about that, School of IELTS. All right. Let's move on to the next part. It's my job to explain, and obviously I will do it for you because I want all of you to do well in the IELTS. Okay, part 2. Part 2 is your long turn. You have to talk for at least 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. Here's the prompt. Describe a positive change in your life. Now see, this is not too specific. In fact, it's actually kind of vague. It's a vague response. Question. So there's a lot you can say. Everyone should have a different answer when it comes to this, right? And here we have what the change was about, when it happened. Describe the details of the change that happened and describe how it affected you later in life. All right? So just these simple points that you have to hit: what the change was, when it happened, describe the details, describe how it affected you. So I'm giving all of you 1 minute. Let me quickly grab my phone so I can put on the timer. All right, so I'm giving you 1 minute. Ready? Go. Take your notes, and then after the 1 minute is over, I want you to send me your notes. You don't have to send me a full response. Send me notes, all right? Sushmit, I want all the notes. So you can't talk about that for 1 to 2 minutes, right? Time is up. You should have your notes by now. And then I will show you how you can do this section by taking notes in front of you. All right? Quickly send me your notes. At least in your notes, these 4 points should be mentioned. And your notes should not be detailed. I don't want you to write full sentences, right? What was the change? Just the name of the change, when it happened, why it happened, and describe how it affected you. So at least all of these things should be mentioned in the notes. So quickly, come on, everyone. I don't want full sentences. I don't want proper sentences. I just want to see your notes right here in the chat. You can type it. Okay, Sushmit, commitment to my hobby of learning a language. Help me utilize my free time productively rather than scrolling mindlessly on the internet. Help me in a better way. Okay, great. Can you talk about this for 2 minutes? Have you written down enough information for yourself so that you can talk about it for 2 minutes? Because you can't take a break in the middle. You can't pause in the middle. You have to have a structure charted out. If you don't chart out a structure, then you're going to struggle when you're talking, because a long turn, a monologue, a speech for 2 minutes cannot be haphazard. It cannot be jumbled. It cannot be confusing. Okay? Elliot, this is not a change. What you're describing is not a positive change. It's just something that happened to you. It's not something you changed in your life. Change in your health. Sion, how? What did you change? When did it happen? What was the reason behind it? Why did you decide that it's time now to bring about this change? Sushmit, no, you should use one thing. It's one change, right? It is singular. So you can say that the change was to consciously not spend time on social media. So in order to combat that social media addiction, you picked up a lot of new hobbies, and then you can explain those hobbies. So you can use more than one hobby, but it should be only one change. So your focus becomes not spending too much time on social media, and then you can say that in order to fill up my time so that I don't reach for my phone, I picked up 2 or 3 different hobbies. One of them is learning languages. Mental toughness, you loved somebody and she left you, just broke you for 1 year, and then you had to build discipline, make your life better. All right. Breakup revenge. Okay, paying more attention to your health, very good. All right. Started to work out every day. Why did you decide to do that? Okay, now let me do this for you. I'll take a sample, okay? These are my notes. Now I'm going to Ansh, no, totally different exams. I'm gonna put my 1 minute timer, and yeah, a lot of people, very good, Vizan. So a lot of people have this, and this is what I'm also going to talk about. So my change is in the way that I exercise. So instead of like focusing on cardio, I started focusing on strength training. There was resistance in the beginning because girls or women, you don't see a lot of them lifting weights, and there's a lot of misinformation around this. But then I did my own research, and around 2 years ago I decided that I'm going to start strength training, and it absolutely changed my life, physical but also mental. It works wonders for fat burning. It's something I look forward to, and it has overall been extremely rewarding. Okay, so these are my notes. 1 minute I got. This is how I took notes. First important thing to understand about notes is that only you are going to read these notes. So you should take them in a way that you understand. It is not important for me that you understand my notes. It is important for me that I understand my own notes. So the spellings that I'm writing, the short forms that I'm writing, the way I'm structuring it, it should make sense to me. Similarly, whatever notes you are taking should make sense to you. The notes are for you. All right? Then now I have a structure. I have to talk about it for 2 minutes. So describe a positive change in your life. Okay? So I have my 2 minute timer on, and I'm going to refer to my notes, and I'm going to start talking to show you how you can talk about it for 2 minutes. I did not prepare anything in advance. I'm doing it on the spot. Okay? Here we go. So around 3 years ago, actually around 5 years ago, during the pandemic, I got a new job for which I moved out of my house and moved to a different city. The job mostly entailed being on a desk for long hours, and because I was living by myself, I was eating a lot of unhealthy food, and it inadvertently led to some weight gain. And I became really uncomfortable with the weight gain, especially when I started hearing comments from other people about how I've gotten fat. So I decided to take control of my life, and I made it a point to exercise every day in order to lose the weight. Now I started doing a lot of cardio-based exercises, which I generally thought were what people did when they wanted to lose weight, and I absolutely hated it. running for an hour on the treadmill or going out jogging, not only did it fatigue me, but I also saw no actual improvement, no actual weight loss. And I dreaded working out because of how just awful cardio felt. That's when I sort of saw that a lot of the entire cardio section in the gym is just filled with women, and all the men are busy lifting. And you could see that the men were all quite toned and physically fit. And I didn't usually see a lot of women lifting weights or doing any sort of strength training. So I decided to research this a bit more. Is strength training something that only men are supposed to do? So around 2 years ago, when I did my whole deep dive into why women don't lift, I realized that lifting is not just recommended, it is extremely beneficial for women and women's health. Not only does it prevent arthritis in the future, and women are more prone to arthritis and osteoporosis because they lose a lot of calcium post-menopause. Okay, see, so I've hit my 2-minute mark and I still have so much to say. So I'm just going to quickly wrap up, and the examiner can stop you at any time. They just want to assess whether you are able to talk about something. And obviously, if I spent entire 2 minutes talking about my first 3 points only, then obviously I will be able to talk about the other points as well. Okay? So yeah, long story short, after doing my research, I started lifting and I was amazed by the benefits. Not only did it help me physically, I lost weight so much faster than I expected. I became stronger, my posture improved, my sleep cycle improved, I felt energetic throughout the day. I really looked forward to it. It was the right kind of dopamine hit that I needed every day. But the most surprising benefit was how it helped me mentally. More than just physical health, it did wonders for my mental health. If I didn't work out, I felt bogged down. I gave into anxious thoughts or depressive thoughts. And working out instantly took care of all of it. And so it's just been a miracle. It's been a life changer for me. And it's something that I'm never going to stop doing throughout my life. Alright, so that was my 2 minutes. In fact, more than 2 minutes. I spoke about the positive change. I covered all the points, and now you know how to talk for 2 minutes in part 2 of the IELTS. Alright? I will check your answers. Okay? Alright. Let's go to part 3. I will check your answers after we do part 3. Alright? So part 3 is going to be somewhat, like I said, ow, earring got stuck. Part 3 is going to be somehow related to part 2. It's going to be follow-up questions. In this case, it's not exactly related to part 2, but tangentially related to part 2. Here's the first question. Why do some people find it hard to make decisions? Quickly tell me. Why do some people find it hard to make decisions? Give me a good response, and then meanwhile I will read all of your older responses, okay? Wisen, my body, gym, peace of mind, having no fitness, unable to run, muscle growth, endurance, flexibility, strength, increased confidence. Very good. And Wisen, you know the best part about this is the topic specific vocabulary that you have. And you might have observed even in my response, I had a lot of gym related vocab, strength training, powerlifting, and like illness related, how it can prevent arthritis, osteoporosis, etc., right? So having topic specific vocabulary is important. Using very complicated words is not important. So Wisen, good job with the notes there. Sunny, I try to believe on myself. Believe in myself. You always believe in yourself, not on, okay? Believe in yourself and achieve your dreams, not crack your dreams, achieve your dreams. Sunny, the problem with your notes is it's very confusing what the change is and what you're talking about. Okay, you have to look at Wisen's response very systematically. The change is obvious. He wanted to change his body and his fitness level. He or she, please confirm. fitness, they wanted to change their body and their fitness levels, and that's what they did, and all the topic specific vocabulary is a part of that. Okay, I am not able to understand, Sunny, exactly what it is that you wish to change. What is that positive change that came about in your life? Okay, Tanmay is saying because they are not clear, they're always in a dilemma and they are immature. Very harsh, Tanmay, what happened? So here you've given a very judgmental response, and I would say avoid doing that in the IELTS, alright? Always give the benefit of doubt to whoever you're criticizing. It's okay to criticize a certain personality type or certain kind of people, but make sure you're giving some sort of benefit of doubt. So here, why do some people find it hard to make decisions? You can say something like, I feel like it's usually people who were too coddled or whose parents did not give them any autonomy when they were children. I feel like they struggle with making decisions because they never had to do it in the first place. So you can fall back on, psychology and just something generic like that instead of saying they're immature. Instead, you can say maybe their parents just never let them make any decisions. They were too protected, and because they never had to make decisions, they never learned how to do it in the first place. All right? Yes, ghost, very good. So you can say, I think it's just a personality type. Like for me personally, I overthink a lot, and when I get into that overthinking loop, it's very hard for me to get out, and it becomes impossible to make a decision. So I feel like it has something to do with personality type, conditioning, how you were brought up, and just the way your brain works. And I am sure it can be worked out. I can get some help or some sort of therapy for this, and other people can as well. But it has to be, in my opinion, a psychological problem, and that is why people struggle with making decisions. Okay. Yes, so what all of you are describing is basically overthinking. So you can use the term overthinking, right? You can say it's because of overthinking, alright? There are no TOEFL videos, this is IELTS, alright? I'm teaching IELTS right now, not TOEFL. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to jump to the last one. Is it better to make a decision thinking about what you want or thinking about what other people want? Let's answer this. Is it better to make a decision thinking about what you want or thinking about what other people want? समझ नहीं आया last वाला. Okay, Sayon, your answer is good for the first question. Is it better to make a decision thinking about what you want? That is, keeping yourself in the center. मैं अपने बारे में सोच के decision लूँगा, और thinking about what other people want. कि मैं दूसरों के बारे में सोच कर decision लूँगा. So you can give a response sort of like this. You know, ever since we were kids, we've always been taught about how great selflessness is and how it's the biggest virtue, and especially in my country where sacrifice sort of becomes synonymous with how much you care about your family or other people. Now, while I think to a certain degree selflessness is important, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your own life or your own peace of mind. This expectation to be selfless all the time can easily turn toxic, and at the end of the day we also have to prioritize our own selves and make sure we are also taken care of, so our decisions should not be too selfish to the point that we are hurting others because of them, but we should also try to prioritize ourselves while taking decisions, so we can, just as an act of self-preservation. So that's the kind of response I would give for this question, okay? Sushmit, good response. I like your response. Simple, straightforward. Every time you, you can follow it up with an example. You can also, in this kind of an answer, you can also say it completely depends on the kind of decision it is. If it has to do with your life, your education, who you're marrying, stuff like that, then it should be a completely personal decision. I don't think anyone else needs to factor into it. But when it comes to the decisions we take that impact society at large, for example, the kind of environmental damage we do, or if a particular decision of ours can negatively impact those around us or negatively influence other people, impact other people's health, then obviously we need to take that into consideration. So you can also give a very balanced, it depends kind of an answer for this question. Okay? All right. Now let's try. What are some of the most important decisions young people have to make? This is quite easy, right? For you especially. I think the single most important decision young people have to make is what they're going to study after school or what career path they're going to choose. Especially in our country, a lot of pressure is put on young children to decide very early on what is it that they wish to do. It's as young as 13-year-olds or 14-year-olds are expected to decide whether they want to become an engineer or a doctor, and even the choices they're given are quite limited. So young children are burdened with making a decision that they don't even fully understand yet. And I feel like that's a huge issue, especially in my country. So you can give a response like that. You can also go the peer pressure route. I think some of the most important decisions young people have to make is to set their boundaries. This teenage is an age of exploration and trying to figure out life, and we have a lot of negative influences around us. So more than the decisions we make to do something, it's the decisions that we make against doing something that I feel bear a lot more weight. Okay, I'll check your answers. Making a decision, we should prioritize ourselves, but we should also keep a... Yes, ghost, but this is not enough. It's good, but you have to elaborate. You have to give examples. If you're saying it depends on the kind of decision, then you have to give one example of each. A decision in which other people should not be considered and a decision in which other people should be considered. Okay? Yes, Sion, but again, when you're giving a sometimes response, even software hits, whenever you're giving a sometimes kind of a response, you have to give examples. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to give examples. For example, when I was giving you this answer, I was going to follow it up with an example, saying something like, it's the decisions that you take to not do something that bear more weight. For example, not doing drugs, not giving into peer pressure and, drinking alcohol and doing drugs. Those kind of decisions I feel are a lot more important than like choosing a stream or deciding what you want to study in college. These things are sort of reversible, can be changed, they're flexible, but ruining your life because you fell into an addiction because of peer pressure, that has a very damaging and lasting impact on our lives. Okay? Spelling of career, Tanmay, please fix the spelling of career. What you've written is carrier, not career. And a lot of you make this mistake while speaking also. Instead of saying career, you say carrier. What is my carrier going to be? No, what is my career going to be? Two different words. Okay, good job everyone. So now quickly, how many do we have left? How important is it to get advice from other people when making a decision? And do you agree that parents should make important decisions for their children? So I'm giving you both these questions as homework. I need these answers in the comments. Please don't AI generated mumbo jumbo. I want your genuine responses for these two questions. Let me give you a sample. How important is it to get advice from other people when making decisions? It totally depends on the decision being made and the person being asked. If we have somebody in our lives that we trust fully, who has our best interest in mind, then reaching out to them for advice or counsel is fine. But at the end of the day, nobody knows us like we know ourselves, and we shouldn't really leave our decisions up to other people. We need to critically think about everything that we're doing. Also depends on the decision being taken. If a particular decision affects other people in our life, then yes, they must be considered and taken into consideration. For example, one second, yeah. So for example, having to go and study abroad financially affects my family. So it's not a decision I can take by myself. I have to consult them. Having said that, if they are against it and I really want to do it, I'll find my own means to make it possible anyway without impacting them. Okay? Yesterday's one-shot video has audio issues. Is that so? Okay, I'll check. I will check. There are many other videos on writing tasks too. You will be able to find them. Okay? I will share a Telegram with you soon, okay, where I can share notes, alright? In this upcoming week, we'll set it up and I'll share it with you, alright? Next is, do you agree that parents should make important decisions for their children? I don't think, till a certain age, obviously parents do make all the decisions for their children. But when children have attained some autonomy, especially in their teenage years, parents should start letting them choose for themselves. This can start with trivial things like, what to wear, what to eat, what kind of hairstyle to have, and then move on to more important things like what is it that you want to study. This is how children eventually learn to make well thought out decisions and also feel like they have agency and importance in this world, and also understand that their decisions also have an impact and bear weight. Alright, so these were two sample responses I gave you. I want your responses for this in the comments. I will be checking them. And like I said, overall, the most participative student can get a surprise. So make sure you're doing this. I have to incentivize you. Being able to do well in the IELTS is not incentive enough for you. So I have to give you some sort of incentive. Alright, that brings us to the end of today's video. Hope that was helpful. You have your IELTS in 4 days. All the very best. Please go through all the resources. You will find videos for every section. Alright, you will find videos for every section. Make sure you're practicing well. You'll do a good job. All the very best. And everyone, please subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends who are also preparing for the IELTS. And there is a study abroad Telegram. Maybe we can just use that to share notes. So make sure you're joining it. Alright. Not here, software hits. I want it in the comments. Sushmit, I want the answer not in the chat but in the comments of this video. Okay? Take care everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. It was lovely. All of you were very participative. Please avoid AI generated answer. That's my only request. And I'm saying this just for you, not for myself. It doesn't affect me in any way. It only affects you. Alright? So please use AI wisely, not like this. Have a